Om Shamrajya Shukham Trinavad Vihayo Sandharayan Chi Varachinna Vesham Ninindya Vedam Pashughatanam Cha Dayamayankam Pranatasmi Buddham Namo Namo Buddha Divakarayo Namo Namo Gautama Chandrikayo Namo Namo Ananta Gunadharayo Namo Namo Shakko Nandanayo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our salutations to him who renounced the happiness of kingdom as if it were like a blade of grass, who wore the ragged garb of renunciation, who denied the authority of the Vedas and denounced animal sacrifice. That compassionate Buddha I salute. I salute Buddha, the son of knowledge. Salutations to Gautama, who saved the moonlight of compassion. Salutations to the holder of endless noble qualities. Salutations to blessed son of the Shakya clan, Sri Buddha. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. Today, we will reflect on the life and teachings of Buddha and Shankara. This month, actually it happened, that is Buddha's birthday, and also this month, Shankara's birthday. So these two great souls, humanity has been greatly benefited, nurtured, and protected with motherly love by these two great and extraordinary spiritual personalities. And they have saved the whole humanity from going into wrong direction, brought back to the right understanding about spiritual life and how to manifest that spirituality in personal life, that direction they gave it. So we are greatly indebted to these great souls. Actually, they are ruling the world for thousands of years, you can say. Buddha ruling how much? 2,500 years, more than that. How he is ruling? He was a king. He didn't rule like a king rules, but he ruled with his spirituality, with his compassion, with his holiness, with his idea given to the humanity so that people can find peace in life. Everything being there minus peace is meaningless. But peace is there and nothing else. That is not bad. Buddha himself denounced his own kingdom, prosperous kingdom. He is the only son of his father, and gave up everything. For what? For attaining this wisdom, that peace, that abiding peace. He came in a particular context of the time. We have to understand, when the great souls come, and they come at a particular juncture of human history. You know, the India was ever prosperous with the spirituality, the spiritual ideal of self-realization, knowing the inner self. In the ancient time onward, you find that the scripture is telling that true knowledge was predominant. It is said that dve vidde veditavve parachaiva aparacha. There is two objects of learning. One is paravidya, and another is aparavidya. Aparavidya is what? By which you can make money, name, fame, power, position, control. And paravidya is what? By which you attain to the highest wisdom, which can take you beyond the difficulties of life's suffering and pain. So that paravidya, jaya tadaksharam adhigamati, you know your inner identity. You know your divine self, and which can give the eternal peace. And India struggled for their spiritual entity, and the net result you can find, the gift to the whole world is the gift of the Upanishads. You all know the Upanishads, you have read the Upanishads, many of you. The cream of the Upanishadic teaching is that who are you? To know yourself. You are not limited by this physical entity, or your mental ability, or your intellectual capacity. You are much more, much bigger, much higher, much nobler than that. That was the message. That is called the Upanishadic message. And that is in the Vedas, we all know. But Vedas has two divisions. One is called the action side of it, another is the wisdom side of it. Action or karma kanda is the beginning part. People do some karma. Instead of doing bad karma, do good karma. And why good karma? There is an impetus. You go to heaven. Why to heaven? Because you get more joy, more fun. Here, joy is limited. Joy will be unlimited. Here you have to pay price for everything. It is prepaid. So you go and enjoy only. You have not to do anything there. So everyone is allowed to go to heaven. And therefore, the scripture suggested, yes, from the beginning, don't do bad karma. Do good karma. Offer oblation for the gods and goddesses. Do all this, and by performing this, you go to this plane of joy, joyful plane. You do more good karma, another higher zone of joy, lingering joy, more and more. So this is the temptation for doing karma kanda. To make person, animal person, to man and to the divine. It's a journey. So the ancient sages found this path, karma kanda, that is the kanda means the section or the segment, when you perform the ritualistic activities in the name of God, oblation to the name of the divine beings, so that by their grace you attain a peace, a lingering peace in another plane after death. So that was called the karma kanda. And karma kanda is not the ultimate goal because it finishes. You do good karma, you get a good result, you get good money, get good prosperity, but few days. When it ends, then you have to work hard again. So that is the weak point of the karma kanda and going to heaven. Going to heaven is good, but it is bad when you have to leave the heaven and come back here again. It is like coming back to the jail again. So that's why heaven is not a very good choice. But to people, it is very interesting to go there rather than suffering here. So karma kanda was very important. But karma kanda is not the end. You have to reach a plight of reality where you unending joy, unending peace, unending happiness. So that is the teaching of the Vedas. So what happened at the time of when Buddha was born, the whole of India everyone is performing karma kanda, havanam, oblation in the name of gods and goddesses. And that deteriorated in a way that in the karma kanda you have to sacrifice your ego. But it is easy to sacrifice somebody. I cannot sacrifice my ego, so I can sacrifice one animal, poor animal, and you do some homo, and at the end slaughter that animal. There's nothing wrong, because you eat meat anyway. So why not offer it to God and eat? That's one type of argument is there. But that people took more attention to sacrifice of the animals and performing these rituals of homo fire and with the hope of going to heaven, and which will give them joy, power, position, and little joy, more. So the whole India then became a place where you can find animal sacrifice everywhere in the name of religion. So Buddha was born in that particular time. And they forgot the goal of life is not going to heaven, but goal of life is to know who we are and to know that we have an eternal entity in us. That we call God, that is called Brahman, that is called Atman, that is the self, undying self, butless, deathless reality. That people forgot. So that's why Buddha came in a time when he was born. He was raised in his father's home with the princely enjoyment. And so he didn't know what is going on in the world. And then when he found the few questions of life, serious questions of life, life is not all fun. Life has suffering. He didn't know that life has any suffering. His father protected him in such a way not to face any difficulty, lest he becomes a monk. In his prediction, horoscope, it was written that either he will be a great monk or he will be a great king. So father thought, I have this huge kingdom, I'm only son. So if he becomes a monk, then who will look after? So he protected him from outside sufferings, not to see the face of suffering anywhere. But when he first saw, it shocked him. He found there is somebody sick. He didn't know what is sickness. Oh, disease? Disease is there. He first recognized. He recognized old age is there. A man is tottering over the stick and not having enough strength. So, sickness is there, old age is there, ultimate death is there. It was a great shock for him. I will die one day. Oh, this fun and joy will not continue forever. And that made him very thoughtful. And he found one monk also with a bright, brilliant face, carefree for any suffering or pain. So he started thinking, I will have to solve the mystery of this suffering. We'll have to find some means and ways to go over this suffering. And that was Buddha's path. And then he went to different holy people for suggestions, holy gurus for guidance, but he was not satisfied. Ultimately, he found his own path of meditation and observing the suffering. What is the way out? And that he found out what is called the nirvana. You all know? So nirvana, attaining nirvana is a state. Nirvana is a state where there is no suffering. There is no anxiety. There is no death. There is no disease. So that is the state. He attained to that. Attaining that state, he talked about that. After illumination, he said, I have attained to that state which is called nirvana. What is that? Where breeze no longer sways, the serenity. Your mind is so serene. No wind, nothing can blow away that serenity from you. Ups and downs no over the even path. Night never sets in over the illumined awareness. When you attain to that awareness, I have attained to that state where night never sets. There is no darkness. That illumination is constant and stable. He continues, that is the state of nirvana I have attained. Truth never eclipsed. That means I am established in the eternal truth. And births and deaths are uprooted. There is no birth, there is no death. See, people talk that he is talking about void, everything is void. Is it void? What is teaching? He is saying death cannot touch there. If death cannot touch, birth cannot touch there. It is beyond birth and death. That's Vedanta says, you are birthless, deathless. There's another language Buddha is saying, I have attained to that state of nirvana where truth never eclipsed, where births and deaths are uprooted. Treasures never wrong. In worldly treasures, you will become a millionaire, you can become a billionaire, but that can be wrong. How? By crash of stock market or taxation by the government, or somebody can loan and don't return you. So you can lose that treasure, whatever you attain in the world. But I have attained to that state, no one can take away my treasure. See, that is the state of nirvana. He says peace, the charity, love greens the desert. Thereover I am seated, crowned by eternity. For all time I am established in that state where all the suffering cannot touch there, birth cannot touch there, death is not there, night never sets in over that illumined consciousness, the truth never eclipses there, and there is always the grace, sends it showers to all humanity. Grace, compassion, holiness, that is the showering. And this, the peace and charity that will reign. And love is so much profuse that the dry desert, it will be flooded with the love. So that is the state of nirvana he achieved. And then he gave this message to the world. First of all, Buddha's major message, you know what he talked about, that there is suffering. There is suffering and there is a way to get out of it. And there people have done that and follow some path by which we can go on. Eightfold path of following the truthfulness, all this honesty, truthfulness, service, all these ideas that is given by the Eightfold Path. So that you know all. So that is the Buddha's life, and that has saved India. And he didn't talk about God. When you talk about God, you go into fight. Because you always say, my God is the greatest God, your God is less than me. Always these religions are fighting with each other, is it not? Fighting why? Why they are fighting? Fighting about God. Is God two gods? Or many gods? That one Hindu God, one Islam God, one Christian God, one Buddhist does not believe in God. But some believe also. Anyway, so this is the point, that it is the state of nirvana. So he didn't talk about God. He didn't talk about Vedas. Because Vedas, people misunderstood Vedas means the karma kanda, only performing some rituals and attaining to heaven or attaining name, fame in this world, which can be robbed by anyone. But we need to attain to that eternity which no one can touch, and that remains with you and me forever. So Buddha paved that path, and he fought against sacrifice of animals. That's why his philosophy is ahimsa, non-injury, non-violence. Why? It is natural. You have to kill your ego. You have to save yourself from your mundane attraction to the divine attraction. Rather than not going to that, you are only taking a wrong meaning of the Vedas and Upanishads and getting engaged in sacrifice, and as a part of the sacrifice, some animal sacrifice. So he fought against it, and with his blazing life of renunciation, Who can be more renunciate than Buddha himself? Renunciation means what? You have something, then you give up, is it not? Is that not the renunciation? So, Buddha, before that, he had everything. The whole kingdom, wealth, prosperity, wife, children, palace, everything is within his reach. He felt it is useless and search for the truth. There is suffering and I will have to find out the means and ways beyond suffering. And he did that and then just preached that message. You can also get it. This is the beauty of Vedanta and Buddhism. It is not that I got only. It is my exclusive position. It is for you. Every one of us can attain to that state of Nirvana. And that Buddha contributed that idea and he went to the length and breadth of India and had arguments with the people who are performing this karma kanda to stop them and then lead them to the path of real spirituality, renunciation. Nothing happens in life without renunciation. You are here. You are all renouncing this hour. So many other fun and joy may be there. People are busy. They cannot come here. But you have renounced them. To get anything higher, you must have to renounce. The student renounces his fun and joy in study when the school examination comes, isn't it? Everyone renounces unless you renounce. You renounce your hours and hours of service in cooking. That's why you make a good food. So, to anything we do, we need renunciation, means sacrifice. And that sacrifice is the self-sacrifice. Little petty I should be sacrificed for the cause of many. And the prayer for good of all. So, first of all, with the blazing light what Buddha showed and inspired. He inspired such that the king has renounced everything for finding the truth, to go beyond these three sufferings. And can he not do that? So, everyone tried to follow his path. And they are the greatest person who gave up their all earthly desires and achievements for the cause of the highest truth. And they did it, and the whole India then got inspired by Buddha. Buddha's Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Everyone started saying, I will follow the Buddha. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. What are the dharma? The eightfold path of spiritual practice. I will follow that. Shangham Sharanam Gacchami. I will follow the path of this spiritual organization. What spiritual organization? This organization of renunciation. I will follow that and follow the discipline. What purpose is I shall attain that freedom, nirvana. And that nirvana, just I said, what Buddha himself talked about nirvana. To attain that, and that's why the whole India was saved. Why? The misinterpretation of the Vedas and the wrong sacrifice of the animals in the name of spirituality. He stopped these two aspects of it and gave to the humanity the greatest blessings, that you have to work on your mind, to stop your own cravings and desires and raise your consciousness into some other place where this eternal peace is abiding. And no one can take away that peace and happiness. He himself was established in that and preached that. So they now, India didn't talk about Vedas, that's why Buddha didn't talk about Vedas, neither he talked about God. His problem, he was straight and direct. He says the life has suffering, solve the problem first. We'll think about God later on. It is your problem. What is your problem? First finish it. So don't argue. Don't be logicians. Only putting some argument right or wrong, you can follow some other path. But when is the time when the house is in fire, want to bring a little water to stop that fire? Or you will go on analyzing why the fire is coming from northeast side. It should be on the south, on the west side, because wind was blowing this way. And let us sit down and now analyze why the wind blow that way. And it is in fire. Now question is that, stop the fire first. Stop the fire of such, the pain and agonies of life. We are tormented by the three types of suffering. The suffering which I create by myself. The suffering which is created by someone, where I am not involved, but I am in the trap of that suffering. And neither you or me or not any other animal or anyone did any suffering, caused any suffering, but natural calamity and disaster that created something. So these three types of suffering we are going through. How can we ignore that? And how can you sit on scripture or some text or God, let us discuss about Hindu God or Islam God or Christian God, who is better, who is wrong, and then we come and fight and do. They solve the problem of life. First you get out of it. You get established in your eternal bliss. Then you talk about God or other things. So Buddha didn't go into those intricate analysis. He said, solve the problem, follow the eightfold path. So dharmam sharanam gacchami, and the whole community of Indian community then, or these seekers of truth, followed the path of following their discipline. What Buddha lived that life of renunciation, detachment, and love for all, prayer for the good of all. Sarve shukhino bhavantu, sarve shantu niramaya, sarvam bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhavit. That was his message. Love for all, serve all. Let there be no one to suffer in the world. The world is suffering. That's why Swami Vivekananda's words come. Swami Vivekananda called the same way. He is a combination of Buddha, heart of Buddha, and brain of Shankara. He said, Vivekananda said, can you sleep? The world is burning in misery. Can you sleep? Can you be so selfish? And you are sleeping in your own pleasure? And the world is burning with misery, suffering, hunger, thirst, disease. Do something. That was the call of Buddha. And inspired by Buddha, Buddha monks became everywhere, all over India. People started renouncing their home and then followed the path of this nirvana and attained nirvana. Many saints attained nirvana. But as it goes on, you know, Buddha's name, there are many viharas, that means where monks live together. Monasteries were built all over. And as time went on, Buddhism split into different theories and theologies. They become, some say, to follow Buddha is the way. To love and adore Buddha, worship Buddha, that is the path. Some say, no. Buddha is not a man. Buddha is a principle. Let us follow the principle, what it stands for. So, Buddhism split into two. One becomes Mahajana, one is called Hinojana. Mahajana, those who started thinking Buddha is to be adored, Buddha's path is to be followed. That's why they started worshipping Buddha, creating sculpture of Buddha. Different temples of Buddhistic temples started. And another, they mostly remain in theory that this suffering is there, get out of the suffering, why the suffering, and they analyzed it, Buddha's following the Buddha's path. They analyzed that suffering is inevitable. Well, why? But because you are born. Well, why am I born? You respond to that question. Is it not very simple? We are suffering. If someone says, why you are suffering? Fundamentally because you are born. Those who are not born here, they are not suffering. So why are you born then? I have a desire. If you have no desire, you don't do anything. You desire something, that's why you work for that. Like that, you have a desire. Where the desire came? Desire came from my karma. Where the karma came from? And karma, that also is fulfilled by my expectation and desire. Like that, go on and on and on. Then you see that birth and death is in the cycle, going on and on, one leading to the other leading to the other, and we are in the wheel of birth and death. And that's why we are in suffering. We want to get out of this birth and death cycle. That is the nirvana, path of nirvana. So anyhow, so nirvana. Now, long period passed in between. Buddha's fire of renunciation, Buddha's way of living, people forgot that also. Everything gets, in time, it loses its own spiritual depth. It gets watered down. You see all these saints, see Christian mystics. When Christ came, what a fire of renunciation. Go for the early, all the disciples of Christ. What was their life? Total dedication. How much persecution they had to go through in the name of God, in the name of Christ. And then time went on and on. Persecution, and all these saintly people went through so much suffering and pain. And then, when the kings accepted this philosophy of Christ, what happened? Then wealth came, prosperity came, name came, fame came. Then what? Decadence of and the spirituality happened. People forgot Christ. People forgot the other things, form, grandeur, status, this, that, everything happened. The core of the religion is forgotten. So it happens everywhere. So Buddha, after Buddha's passing away, say about 1000 years, naturally decadence came. And people forgot the tremendous renunciation, detachment, sacrifice which Buddha had, which Buddha was an expression of that sacrifice and detachment and love for humanity, love for animals, love for everyone, forgot. And then they became monk only, and it's a prestigious thing to be a monk. Sometimes religion becomes a prestige. Oh, I go to this high church, is it not? That's a prestige. So, people thought that to be a monk is a great achievement. To color the cloth is enough. Not internal detachment, not love for humanity, not love for the truth of attaining that nirvana. So people forgot that. And it became a prestigious thing, as I said, to become a monk. Every home, there should be someone monk, at least one or two. Even now you can find that there are 4 or 5 years children in Buddhist monasteries. Some monasteries are there. But what they understand about renunciation? Yeah. 4 years child, it's 7, 8, 9 years child, what they understand about renunciation? Let them enjoy life, then renounce. So that became just a prestige. And as a rule, oh, your family go on is monk. Someone go become a monk. I don't want to be a monk, and they force me to be a monk. What will happen to me? I will enjoy everything mentally, or I will find some scope to enjoy, and outside I will be a holy man. So that has happened. That happened with the Buddhism. So in the name of Buddhism, in the name of renunciation, the monks, they forgot the spirit of life, that is love for the nirvana state to attain, that austerity, that spiritual practice, that dedication, that sacrifice, they forgot. And then 24 hours to your hand, what will you do? You become good artist. Next best, sculpture. So they started sculpting Buddha. They started different artwork. Buddhism has contributed culturally, tremendous cultural contribution. We started like that. But that is not the goal of a monk. Monk life is to attain to that state of nirvana. So when this was conditioned, and they become turned into very strong logicians, you cannot defeat them by argument. They learn so sophisticated logic that anyone comes, they can defeat them. So at this point, you see the condition of the traditional spiritual country like India, that they forgot about Vedas. Because Buddha said, not talked about Vedas. Vedas are gone. The karma kanda, that ritualistic worship, which is a first part of spirituality to perform, then go to the higher part, beyond heaven. So that is also gone. And Upanishadic teaching is gone. So in a stalemate condition of India. Then God again appeared in the form of Shankara. When he came, he was born in a Brahmin family, Orthodox Brahmin family. And in some corners, this spiritual tradition of Vedic culture was still surviving. So Shankara is born in such a family, a Brahmin family, but that culture was kept. So when he was growing, his horoscope said that he will live only for 8 years. 8 years only. His life is 8 years life. But he was such a brilliant boy. He learned, memorized all the 4 Vedas, all the 6 Veda Angas, auxiliary Vedas, that is called the Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and all these 6 systems of philosophy and everything. He mastered everything by when he was 5 or 6 years old. 5, 6 years old, such a talented, bright boy, and people from all over came to see that boy and started talking to him. They were overwhelmed with his wisdom and knowledge. And he thought that then he was become very famous. Different scholars came to see him, and father died early, so only widow mother's one son, that was Shankara. And Shankara thought that his life is 8 years, it will go on. But he thought, I have learned all this Vedic wisdom, but I don't realize that. If I don't realize and die, then what is the life meaning? This meaning of this life is God realization. Shankara believes in God. Shankara believes in Atman, Brahman. Buddha also believed, but he didn't say. But people foolishly think that Buddha is non-believer. Not belief. Belief is not important. He experienced. Experienced that birthless, deathless reality. So that is the God he realized. Now, Shankara, born in the Vedic culture, he knew that there is a reality. He knew that only realizing that self, the Atman, you can overcome all sufferings and you can attain eternal freedom. This purpose of human life is like that. So he thought, I am 8 years, I will die. And by that time, it was closing to 8 years. And then he thought, if I take sannyas, sannyas means monastic vows under a good teacher. So I will get the wisdom from the teacher and I will realize my real self. Vedanta teaches that you are that, thou art that, you are that infinite, you are that birthless. So when it comes from the teacher's, experienced teacher's life, it kindles the fire inside. And Shankara is such a bright spiritual person, so he will catch the fire of inner experience. So he took it very seriously. He requested mother, Ma, allow me to be a monk. But only widow mother, one boy, and that's a 6-7 years child, and he will be a monk. How mother can say, accept that? Mother said, no, my child, why you will be, who is there to look after me, this, that. But ultimately, you know that miraculous story, that one day mother went to the nearby river, which is called Alwai, from their home, very close to that. They used to go to take shower or take deep into the water. Shankara also went, Ma also went, and other people are also taking bath in the river. And suddenly, Shankara, so everyone saw that one crocodile has come and caught Shankara and is pulling Shankara away to eat. And Shankara started shouting, Ma, please allow me to be a monk. At that point, and mother, seeing this horrible condition that the crocodile is carrying, and last moment, if he gets sannyas, and that last word, how can I deprive? Mother said, okay, Baba, you get sannyas. You be a monk. And she fainted. And then miracle happened. The crocodile disappeared. And he came back. Shankara came back fresh to mother. And coming to mother, said, Ma, you have given permission. So I am going to be a monk now. Then he said, no, but who will look after me? But mother, don't worry, I give you 3 promises. One promise, whenever you need me, I will appear before you. Because he has the yogic power. He can travel thousands of miles in a split second. You know, is it not? There are some, they do not hear about the yogic powers. They can penetrate the wall, they can fly in the space. Is it not? Did you hear about that? So, Shankara being such a powerful person, he has all this power. He said, first of all, whenever you remember me, I will come to you. One. Second point, before you die, I will make sure that you have your vision of your God vision. I will make it sure that you have your vision before you die. Third point, if there is nobody to do your rites and rituals after death, I will take care myself. So the 3 promises he gave. And this small boy, 7.5 years old, maybe 7 years, closing to 8 years age, because 8 years is the life span. So he tried to find a guru. He went on, and he found the address. His guru lives in a holy place. What is that holy place? On the bank of the holy river Narmada. There are many saints and sages. They live on the bank of Narmada. Even now, today also, if you go there, you will find many saints and sages live on the bank of Narmada. But if boy of 7 years boy, and this Narmada is 700 miles. So to walk 700 miles, wow. And he's finding on the bank of Narmada. See, so how will you find which bank, which part? But he went asking people, where is that guru's name was Govinda. Govinda. So where is Govinda? And everyone guided him, okay, not here, go there, and he went, and ultimately reached where the Govinda is waiting. Govinda entered, and Govinda there is a cave, and many people are waiting outside. He said, where is Govinda? The boy asked. Then they said, oh, Govinda is inside. Where? I am able to see him. Well, you can't see him. We are waiting for him days and months and years. But he is inside. And he is in deep samadhi. He is absorbed in deep samadhi. We are waiting when he will come out of the samadhi, then we will get his vision and grace. So we are waiting for him. And no, I will have to meet him. But okay, go and check. So he crept into the cave and found that great yogi sitting in his meditation and deep samadhi, totally absorbed in his own divine self. And then this boy composed a praise, a verse in Sanskrit, instantly. And listening that intense, sincere prayer in pure Sanskrit, Anyhow, the yogi opened his eyes. And he said that, my boy, I am waiting for you. I am ordained by my Guru, Gaudapada, who is the descendant of Vyasa, who is the descendant of Sukadeva. So he gave me this treasure of spirituality, and I am waiting to hand over to you. I am waiting for it. Like Swami Vivekananda, when he met Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said the same way. Ramakrishna talked to Naren, hey, my child, you are coming after such a long time. I am waiting for you, and I am crying and waiting for you. Why did you come so late? So similarly, they find that Shankara said the same language his Guru told. Then he gave him the sannyas, that's monastic vows. And main theme of monastic vows you should know, the Guru teaches you, tells you that you are not the body, not the mind, not. You are that divine. You are one with that absolute infinite. You are that. And because Shankara was ready, such a spiritually uplifted person, immediately with this utterance which comes from a realized soul like his Guru, he got it and he attained to Samadhi. And that then his Guru said, my work is done. Because my Guru ordered that this treasure is to be given to you so that this heritage of Indian spirituality retains. So mine is done. Now I am leaving my body. But I give you one task. I extend your life for 8 years. And these 8 years, you write the commentaries on the scriptures like Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. You write all these commentaries. Shankara obeyed. His life was extended 8 to 16. So 8 years working period he got. So following Guru's instruction, he moved to Benares. And there he started writing the commentary. And many scholars from different parts. A 9 years child writing commentary on such heavy spiritual text where the scholars get puzzled. And many scholars came and assembled around Shankara. Some took refuge in him, became his disciple, and by end of his all work finished, about 15 or 15 and a half years age, suddenly he saw that one day one great scholar has come, he's an old man, bearded man, and he came and challenged Shankara. Hey, I challenge your commentaries. And he started to debate with Shankara. One day they debated, but no one is winning. Such a fine level the analysis is going on. And all the scholars are also puzzled. They do not know where is the dispute, what they are talking about in a high level of intellectual interpretation. Now, one day passed, second day passed, and the disciples of Shankara said, Sir, did you ask this man? Who is this old man who is challenging you? Already you have discussed 2 days. Oh, Shankara says, oh, I never thought that. Okay, today if he comes, I will ask him. See, and the third day when the same old man came and he said, Sir, who are you? Please tell me. And then that old guy appeared in his own form. He has the Vyasa, Vyasadeva, who has composed the Brahma Sutras. You know, you can get the book Brahma Sutra from our bookstore. It's a heavy book. You read you need extraordinary argumentative mind to understand that. Because he is facing the challenges of Buddhism, he is annihilating Buddhistic argument, he is annihilating all the karma kanda ideas and presenting the ideal of the Upanishad is Brahma Jnana, knowing the self, knowing your divine self. These are all secondary. And so you have to put logic and argument. So then he appeared and he said, I am Vyasa. I composed these sutras and people are misinterpreting my intention. So they are explaining in different ways. I am pleased with you. You have written this commentary, what I intended to express. You know, this Brahma Sutras means the aphorisms. Aphorisms are small sentence, maybe half a sentence. But it has so much meaning. If you try to understand its meaning, you have to have a long discussion and clarity. So Shankara wrote those clarity. And Vyasa said, I am pleased with you because you have written the commentary in the perfect line of understanding what I meant to express. So I am pleased with you. I want to give you extended life. Shankara said, enough. Please, I am already done, no more. But they said, no. I will give you another 16 years extension of your life. So he got the extension, his life became 32 years now. 8 years, his guru gave 8 years extension to do this wonderful work which we can read today. You go to the Google search and find all the commentaries what Shankara did. And it has saved India from the onslaught of bad argumentative people. To establish that divinity is our soul, which have our eternal substance in us, and that is called the divine, that's called Brahman, that is the Atman. We are birthless, we are deathless. That has been established logically by Shankara. And this whole world is getting the benefit till now. Now, after that, he was extended 16 years. Then he said, no, I don't want to be extended anymore. Then the Guru said, his Vyasa said, no. You have, well, what for? I have written the commentary, what my Guru ordered. And here is the manuscript. And I have created a group of my disciples. They will preach this. But no. Unless you preach yourself, because you are a realized soul. You preach yourself and you get the argument and go to the nooks and corners of this country. And you preach this message. And you have to fight with two opponent groups. One is the Buddhists, who lost their Buddhistic spiritual tradition and became really worldly-minded people again in the name of monastic life. To bring back to their spiritual consciousness, one task. Another task, those who are engaged in only doing the karma kanda, remnant people who are there. So you have to convince them, bring back to the essential message of the Upanishad. And in the current age, Shankara and Buddha came in one package that is called Vivekananda. It's the brilliant intellect of Shankara, the greatest heart of Buddha, combined together for the good of humanity. So the teaching is that both ways we go to Buddha or Shankara, they are speaking of the same thing. But their expression is little different because of the need of the time. That's why Buddha didn't express in positive way about Brahman Atman. But he talked about Nirvana. And he defined Nirvana is a state where your mind will be eternally peaceful, nothing can disturb you. You will be established in a treasure. You will have that treasure which no one can rob from you. Birth and death will not be sway your mind there. That is the way Nirvana, and that was said by Buddha. And Shankara says, Manonubuddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. I am Shiva. I am consciousness. I am blessedness. I am eternal. I am birthless. Two messages the same. One positive way is expressing, another is not saying about the ultimate truth. And everyone is indicating renounce, detach, live a life of morality, live a life of some values, some meaningful living. not like animals. They are born, eat, sleep, and die. We are born. We have a purpose of life. And we have to attain that freedom in this life. So that is the message of Buddha. You read much more. How much I can say? My clock is saying it is to stop. Thank you.